in this case would be my string array, and has the value of 2 as the length, 1, 2, of 2 items in the property dot length, array dot length has the value of 2, and for that I begins with the value of 0. It checks whether or not it's less than 2. If it's still less than 2, it takes the value in I and adds 1, increments. This is the increment operator. The value currently stored in I, and adds 1 to it. So then it takes that value, and for, let's say, it begins with 0, that'd be hello. Basically, it would be selecting, where this is the value of 0, my string array. It would print hello first, and then it's still less than, the value obviously is still less than the length of the array, which is 2. So then it adds 1 again to what was 0 becomes 1.
How many times you can say it?
So this, now the variable I contains the number 1, or the value 1, for my string array. And that would be, it would print out worlds as this with the index of 1, whereas this has the index of 0. But there is a total of 0, 1 is a total of 2 items. This has the index of 0, this has the index of 1, and there's a total of 2 in a quantitative way. Or a cumulative way, I should say. Okay. Okay, so then it's still less than I contains 1, but the array length is 2. 1 is still less than 2. It adds another 1. 2 is not less than 2. So let's see if I run the code here. Yeah, it prints out just the 2. Obviously, because the length of it is only 2 items. So, now, that's the for loop way of doing things, and that's across other languages as well. You know, like for loop and C programming.
I guess I'm back out on the street. Seeing as you and I are in the same situation, do you want to get a place together? Really? You mean it? Oh, of course. I would like nothing better than to forget something. Yeah. I forgot mine.
Where the %d here is a placeholder for string formatting that it's going to print a decimal value that is contained in the variable I here. but for I is less than the value of 11, it does what I had explained in the previous example. This is for C programming. It's the same, concept basically. That. Then there's the forEach method in JavaScript, where it skips that whole it automatically determines the dot length. For instance, there's 3 here, and it just iterates. If it says, okay, C is the last item in the array, there's a total of 3 of them, and so then it prints using the console.log element in this example letters A, B, and C. So you see that's 1, 2, and 3, without having to do like instead of having to do like array. Whoops. Dot length. As in, I'll just run this. So, or if it's like, okay, here. Wait, that was interesting. Oh, yeah. You could do this with, let me see, is this? If you add one, let's say D, I'll add a couple.
Found the egg replacer. Found the egg replacer. Good.
This makes it dynamic with the forEach, for instance. Same with you could use the array.length too. You could do that. Like in the previous one, it'll still be dynamic if you add things to the array. So if I run it, all the other ones will print too, including F. See? Some of these things run faster than others with the clock cycles based on the machine language or the way it inflates in the background within the computer processor. Some things are like using the traditional for loop is sometimes better for some things than, let's say, the forEach or vice versa.